and agree. We're just going to do it.
What up? What up? Yo, 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 yo. Just doing a little promoting. Always be promoting. Do a nice, tight, quick stream. For my fans, the Earl Maniacs. Dr. Nova is in the building, which also means the Chicken Man must not be that far behind. And the Zoomer is in the house too. Tonight's theme has no theme other than to have a good time. So I'm recruiting right now all my friends and fans. So come on in. We've been having some good streams lately. I've been putting out a lot more content on the YouTube since Zoom is correct. It's harder to break the algorithm on YouTube when you don't have giant tits and they're willing to show them. But you know what? I don't. And just trying to do it. 100%, Dr. Nova. 100%. I'll figure out YouTube. I do enjoy it the most. I've been monetized for about 8 months. And I'm still unsure of when to put out shorts and videos. Like I figure I scheduled them now for 6 a.m., which would be 9 a.m. East Coast. And then by the time everyone wakes up on the West Coast and is rocking and rolling, the video should be out. I haven't really had a short or a long form video that took off, but I am going to be putting more stand-up on. The great thing about the Comedy Store is in the original room, you can tape your set, which is 15 minutes, which I think they allow. You can put up the whole set like the other night. And then in the main room, you can, your set gets taped for you, 4K camera, the audience is mic'd. It's fucking great. But you have to chop it up. So, I'm just going to try and bombard YouTube with better quality stand-up and just take it from there. I just read the Jakey Lee statement, 15 shell casings. I mean, I went on Metal Sludge, which is like the Drudge Report for 80s metal. If you haven't ever been on that, it's Metal Sludge. My friend Stevie Rochelle from the band Tough, it's his website. He's the Matt Drudge of Metal Sludge. And I asked the question because, Jake has been known to, have a drug problem. Could have this been an old, or hopefully not, but could it have been a new drug debt? And I've done comedy in Vegas, and I'm a night owl, as you guys know. It's a real shithole at night. I'm telling you that right now. There's areas you definitely don't want to walk around in Vegas. So, and I just something tells me Jake Lee doesn't live in a good neighborhood, which is crazy because he's one of the great '80s guitar players. Um, really, one of the great guitar players of the last 40 to 50 years. So I would guess, just guessing, he'd probably live in like the downtown area of Vegas, which is at night is a real shithole. Like I'm talking, if you're familiar with Vegas, it's like by the stratosphere, and that's a rough part of Vegas. Um, so, well, especially someone like Jake E. Lee, I'll get to your question in a second, Dr. Nova. Um, he sold his, he was in Rat. He was in early versions of Rat. And then I think he went to Dawkins. Um, and then briefly went back I mean, the timeline of Rat's wacky if you really follow it. You had I think it was Robin Crosby and Jake E. Lee, and then um, Jake E. Lee left, I think, to go to Dawkins because George Lynch was on the road with Ozzy about to take over for Brad Gillis. And then I think Jake also auditioned for Ozzy, and Ozzy wanted George Lynch, Sharon wanted Jake E. Lee. So he leaves Rat basically to go to Ozzy. Um, Mark Torian had kind of replaced Jake E. Lee and Rat, from the Bullet Boys. And then George Lynch goes back to Dawkins. DeMartini, he had left for a brief period. Uh, so it was just like these guys are just, Juan Crochet was in Dawkins. I think he was on the first album. So Rat was like 6 degrees of Rat in that early '80s time frame. Um, ACD 100%. I mean, if you really want um, if you really want a prime Jake E. Lee, go on YouTube. Well, you're on YouTube right now. Don't go on while the stream is. And look up Ozzy Osbourne, Salt Lake City. And I think the full concert's out there. It's only like an hour and 30 minutes. That's Jake E. Lee at his prime. Like, just awesomeness. I think his solo comes on at the end of Suicide Solution. Now, it's not the exact solo Randy Rhoads did, but they were different players. So, um, Earl Moogled the location, southeastern suburbs of Vegas, half mile from his home. I mean, I'll take your word for it, Mickey. But I don't know if he lived in the suburbs. He strikes me as an apartment kind of guy. So you know, I'm talking like the area right around the stratosphere is real rough at night. I mean, there's a side of Vegas they don't show you in the brochures. But let me get to Dr. Nova's question. We'll go back to Jake Ely or whatever you guys want to talk about. You know the rules in the Earlverse. In terms of Eddie Nash being protected and supplied, listen, he was definitely protected by someone in the LA PD / LA sheriffs. I mean, I think if you watched Michael Connolly's um, 4-part docuseries on MGM about the Wonderland murders, and they say when they raided Nash's house that they found a bunch of court papers and whatnot that there's no way Nash should have had. I mean, he was juiced in. The thing about Eddie Nash. Oh, hit the like button, please. I don't ask you guys for much. is that you got to understand in LA County in the late 70s, mid 70s, that probably mid 80s, it was incredibly hard to get a liquor license. It's hard now, but it's hard now because there's so much money. I mean, I think it's like 250 grand for a basic one. And then if you have entertainment as well, it's more like it's insane. Back then, they were just hard to get. And I think he had like 25 or 30 liquor licenses at the same time. I mean, that would never fly in LA now. He had the what did he have? Well, he had the Odyssey, he had the Starwood, the Seven Seas, I think Alibaba, Phases, which was in the Valley, which was like a kind of an 818 version of the Odyssey. Um, yeah, I mean, I definitely believe that Nash had major, major protection. Um, I don't know if Sharon had any dirt on him, to be honest with you. Um, you got to understand around Bark of the Moon, he was a struggling musician, like, and Rat certainly hadn't taken off yet. So, I mean, his really smartest move would have been just to stay in Rat, but you never know. I mean, this was when I think right before they put the 6-song EP out. So, Rat was just an unknown, struggling, unsigned band. And who have been seen by a lot of LA people. It kind of reminds me. What up, Jake Hudson? We don't talk about the Earlverse in here. Just to warn you. Um, I'll It's the only time I'll go out of my way to mention Roast Battle, but Rat was kind of like Roast Battle, where for like a year, every network had seen Roast Battle multiple times. They'd come back. HBO looked at us, Comedy Central looked at us. I believe Netflix was fishing around, and none of them wanted the show. And I think Russell Simmons came and he wanted to totally change the show into basically a glorified Wild and Out. He wanted to do Roast Battle, but with rappers. Um, and that was Rat. Every label had passed on Rat multiple times. So, um, I'm sure Jake left Rat going, well, I love Piercy, but these guys are going nowhere. Um, well, I don't know about that. FNLO. We don't talk about feuds, Jake Hudson in here, but thank you for liking and sharing. I'll let you get away with that. I've known plenty of people who signed over their publishing on their first album because they're desperate to make it. They're just like, fuck it. You look at Quiet Riot. Now, you probably, when I say you, I don't mean you, Zoom, but like I'm talking about you in general. Me as well. I mean, I always thought Quiet Riot were, bazillionaires after that first record. Metal Health, only record, only heavy metal band at the time to debut at number one. I mean, that's something Zeppelin didn't even do. Not that Zeppelin was heavy metal, but not many hard rock albums. None at that time had debuted at number one, but their manager, they sold their publishing to Spencer Proffer. They were, and I mean, because Quiet Riot had been around a long time, since the I'd say mid 70s, like 76, 77. Speaking of Eddie Nash, they would play the Starwood a lot. That's where they were really discovered. Now it's not the Quiet Riot for Metal Health, I mean, that version on Metal Health and their classic lineup of Sarzo, Cavazo, Banali, and Dubrow. Um, that was not the mid 70s and late 70s Quiet Riot. That was, I think, Drew something, Kelly Forsyth, Kevin Dubrow, and Randy Rhoads. They were seen as Van Halen's main competition, but they were struggling. They were doing well in LA, but not really anywhere else. And a couple Randy Rhoads goes to Ozzy. The other two guys leave, so Kevin Dubrow brings in Benally, Cavazzo, and Sarzo, and they're really just a kind of an unsigned, popular local LA band, and then they hit lightning in a bottle, but they sold their soul to the devil. I don't exactly know the conversations, obviously, but I'm sure it was like, yeah, you can have our publishing. Let's just get a fucking record out on a major label. So, yeah, I mean, Mickey, 100%. I mean, you could probably point to any band. I mean, I think Rat had a great manager, Milton Berle's, I think, Marshall Berle. I forget the exact relation, but I think he looked out for those guys. But most bands, solo artists probably too, really get fucked on that first deal because they're so desperate to make it. And to be honest with you, if someone came up to me right now, Netflix or YouTube, not that YouTube, deals directly in comedy specials, but if someone said to me, "Hey, man, we'll finance your special, we'll pay for everything, but we get all the not that there's publishing, but we get all the profits," I'd probably be tempted to be like, "Fuck it." So I get it. I mean, that's where the money's at, publishing. Say what you want about Sharon being a banshee greed monster. She's no doubt a horrible person. Oh, I mean, she saved Ozzy, but everyone else was tossed aside. What up? What up, Grant Thor? Yeah, I mean, I think I'm doing pretty good here. Yeah, I mean, what up, Animal Mother? I think that Quiet Riot made Slade rich. It's like P Diddy has to pay Sting, and I don't mean the wrestler, but Sting, $2,000 a day for that song. The sampling of Every Breath You Take. But Alice Cooper, Mickey, to your point, um, had a great manager in Shep Gordon. I mean, if you've got an honest manager, which very few people do, you can survive your publishing being taken from you. I don't know who Jake Ely's manager was, if he even had one in the early 80s, but he strikes me as the type that probably was like, okay, I've been in these early bands with Rat and Piercy, and nothing's really happening, and I can play with Ozzy Osbourne and play arenas. Fuck yeah. Um, so I can read pretty fast. What up, Doom? I'm doing all right tonight. Thank you very much. We're just talking about artists getting fucked over on their publishing, which happens a lot. Or you have a cool situation like Lemmy from Motorhead. I would say since 2000, that's when I became associated with Motorhead, dating their co-manager at the time. I was privy to this information. And it was just a three-piece band at that time. Lemmy, Mickey D on drums, and Phil Campbell on the electronic guitar. Uh, Lemmy split the publishing with those guys, and he didn't have to do that. It could have just been all Lemmy, and Phil and Mickey were salaried musicians. But that's a rarity. Like Gene Simmons would not have done that. Um, so oh, I didn't know I watch your merch video. I try really not to watch anything. I do still watch MLC. I'll take your word, Spurry, that Doom's video was good. Um, well, that's the only reason Motorhead tours really never sold a lot of records. But they toured, and that merch fucking stand was booming. Trust me on that one. I worked at one time at the Ventura Theater. Um, Everyone wants a Motorhead shirt. Even if you like Weezer, everyone wants it. It's such a I mean, I can't say it's a basic design, it's like a gothic skull or whatever you want to call uh, that design, but it's a fairly basic design. But and that the font, everyone wants a Motorhead t-shirt. I've probably got 10. And I pay for mine. Thank you very much. Yeah, Mickey D is a very powerful drummer. I remember seeing them at the Anaheim House of Blues, and I'm side stage. I mean, I'm 10 feet from the drum kit, and I'm sitting there with Bobby Blotzer from Rat, who's kind of a dick, but he was actually pretty nice this night. And Mickey D must have gone through 5 to 10 drumsticks. He hits so hard, his drumsticks break. And Blotzer looks at me and goes, "Fuck, bro, I've never seen something like that." So, but Blotzer's been around, a long time in the music world. Okay, I'll have to check out Tool's merch. I mean, I can't. I mean, I don't. Uh, I think I've had one Tool shirt I bought at like a swap meet or something. Um, yeah, I mean, Motorhead and Iron Maiden. Uh, I've seen those bands shirts on Newports. See, we'll use a Dabbleverse term just to get wild in here. Um, so that was kind of fun to see how hard. I mean, it's one thing to be in the crowd at a Motorhead show, or I guess now a Scorpion show. Well, I mean, probably just a Motorhead show because the Scorpions, it's not exactly known as like metal, um, and but to see him just constantly breaking sticks, I mean, it's pretty hard to break a drumstick, hitting them on the snare or any part of the drum kit, and because Mickey's he's short. I would guess Mickey's maybe 5'6", 5'7" tops. But he's solid. But he plays hockey in Sweden, so like he's athletically built. So who is Billy Cobham? Mickey, I don't know who that is. You seem to be a bit of a metalhead, so enlighten me. See, this is what the Earlverse is good for. Maybe my musical knowledge gets expanded. Um, no word yet on Gutfeld, but well, I've certainly not played the drums a lot. I'm a pretty piss poor. I'm not even a musician. I have no musical ability, but I can't imagine breaking drumsticks. But Motorhead's style of music probably does lean into that theory of drumsticks being broken. I could see in like Slayer or harder music, Suicidal Tendencies, um, bands like that. I could probably see if the drummer is powerful. Like I don't see like a Terry Bozzio breaking drumsticks. He's more of a technician, or Neil Peart, uh, Peter Criss. Now Eric Carr, I could see breaking drumsticks, especially in those early Kiss tours. He must have been so fucking pumped up. Um, but I don't know. I had not seen Kiss yet at that time. Um, so who knows? But Kings won tonight, 4-1 in Montreal. Friend of the Comedy Store, Adrian Kempe, scored an empty net goal. We can talk a little hockey. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's a little uh before I was born in 68, so I really wasn't into good music. And I mean, shit, most people would say I never was into good music, but I mean, Kiss was really the first band I started listening to. Yeah, Slayer drumming is next level. I'm trying to think of other harder, Metallica, early Metallica. I could see Lars breaking drumsticks. He's a pretty powerful drummer for a little guy. A Pantera, certain Pantera, eras of Pantera. Earl, are you going as the villain from that? That would be pretty funny, but nobody would get it, to be honest with you. The Night Slasher. Only if I could get that knife, and I'd probably be arrested walking around West Hollywood. I want your eyes, pig. Um, who knows? Who knows? Stations were you listening to? Oh, that's really easy. KMET, which is 94.7 FM, KLOS 95.5 FM, K Rock, which was punk and new wave, um, Kiss FM 102.7 FM, Rick D's at the height of the Rick D's stuff, and then K Earth 101. That was more classic, like Boston, shit like that. And then KNAC 105.5. That was the metal station out of Long Beach. And then in the early 90s, there was a great radio station, Pirate Radio 100.3 FM. And literally it was like in a movie, like the station was on like some barge in the ocean. Like it was legit uh, a pirate radio station, and they would play like I remember the first month they would play Bon Jovi's Born to Be My Baby like 3 times an hour because they didn't have any records. Um, they might have been. I think Casey Kasem was syndicated at that time, so he might have been on Kiss FM, I think on the weekends. And then you had Rick Dees. He was a big morning show guy. And then KLOS. No, I'm sorry. K Rock had Kevin and Bean, which was a big, big, big morning show in LA. Not necessarily throughout nationally. I forget who was the morning thing on KLOS, but Fraser Smith, the stand-up comic now in LA, he was like the Howard Stern for he was on like KMET. I think he was on KLOS as well. Uh, I mean, there were a lot of good stations on back then. And then KLSX, which is where Stern came on. I would listen to Tom Likas because he was like this misogynistic drive time host. He was like, I'm trying to think what his. I mean, it's definitely geared towards men. Get the abortion. I've had 4 of them. I don't remember K-Mal. Yeah, I mean, the pirate radio was great. I mean, literally, especially if you're old enough to remember, like the first month, it was "Born to Be My Baby." I think Skid Row's "Youth Gone Wild." I mean, they literally had I think they had like 10 CDs. I don't even think they were licensed. I did listen to Dr. Demento was another one. Now I'm not talking about music, but that's cool. Yeah, I mean, Casey Kasem was huge. He was, I think, syndicated. He was one of the first of the big disc jockeys to get syndicated. Comedian James Adomian does the absolute. Yeah, I mean, I'm not really doing a good time. I sat next to Tom Likas at King Games. He was actually a pretty normal guy, but he was that guy. Like I'd sit next to him and I'd have a date or whatever, and she'd go to the bathroom or whatever. He's like, "Hey, you're gonna be fucking that later tonight? Just remember, if you nutting or get the abortion, I've had 4 of them." I'm like, "Wow, you really are like how you are on the radio." He's like, "Fucking A, I am." But then the shit got a little old for me. Yeah, I mean, Dr. Demento was. I forgot what station it was on in LA. I want to say KMET. That was a big Sunday night thing for me and my brothers to listen to, Dr. Demento. Because that's where Dr. Demento. I don't really talk about this guy a lot because he's, obviously I don't sing songs in my comedy act, but that's where I discovered John Valby. And if you've ever seen the Tom Cruise movie Losing It, John Valby was the piano singer in the hooker bar, and he'd have these really funny song, not even parodies, but like dirty songs. let me see if I can remember one. Knock, knock. Who's there? He's doing this with the crowd. Tijuana. Tijuana who? Tijuana, bring your mother to the gangbang. Oh, yes, you do. It's been a long time since she's had a screw. When she was younger and in her prime, she used to gangbang all the time. Knock, knock. Who's there? Eisenhower. Eisenhower who? Eisenhower late for the gangbang. It was just these hour-long songs that he would just improv. Um, so check out John Valby. I actually saw him live once. The crowd really. Forget about John Valby. We've got Peter Chicken Man Brennan delving into WCW wrestling. That's a new topic for the Chicken Man, trying to cover up his true identity. Who was in them? I don't really remember them. Perry Saturn. Um, yeah, that's funny. I love Valby. I mean, wait, here's John Valby song from the movie Losing It. He starts playing the piano. Well, the high school punks come over the border. Their walls get thin, their dicks get shorter. Hey, Baribo. I know a senorita. Her name is Roxanne. She uses a tortilla as a diaphragm. Hey, it's just I saw this guy and losing him. Like, this guy's nuts. I thought he was an actor, but I believe John Valby is still alive. Maybe. Um, Days with Jordan the Lion in the house. Is it true that you delayed your special and documentary because the Harper Steele documentary stole your concept? I don't even know who Harper Steele is, so I can guarantee you this: nobody is stealing my concept. A very similar question and styling, Dr. Nover, to the Chicken Man, the scum, PJ Stansberry, 100%. Does Jordan like? No, Jordan likes one lady, and I'm not even going to say her name because I know how you fucking animals are. Um, Now we've got Dr. Nova and Chicken Man talking to each other, or is it the same person? Midnight Laundry. I love losing it. I mean, I'm not necessarily saying it stands up to the test of time, but great cast. If you remember who was in it, John P. Avon Jr., who was like a standard in the 80s sitcoms as the kid. Wendell, he played Wendell. John Stockwell, who was, I believe, played Spider in Top Gun. He was the one who left in the beginning of the film. Let me try and who else? Obviously Jackie Earl Haley, who I believe was nominated for an Academy Award for some film. Okay, my bad, Dr. Nova. Don't get your panties in a bunch. Okay, my bad, William. But a big director. I think he directed Christine and several other films. Lawnmower Man, I think. Who else was in Losing It? Well, Henry Darrow, he played the dirty cop. He was pretty iconic um, Hispanic actor. So it was a really good cast. There's Shelley Long, Rick Rossovich from Top Gun. I remember going to my dentist, and this is right around the time Top Gun was blowing up, maybe a year after. And he knew I knew who he was. I'm like, hey, I loved you in Losing. And he's like, dude, I'm with my wife and kids. It's funny. Pee Wee from Porky's told me the same thing. Hey, Leo Gunn, we don't do the Dabbleverse talk in here. We don't do that in here. Earl, today, Chad said he believes you're going on MLC next week. I mean, I would only go on MLC because I respect Kevin Brennan so much as a comic. But I would not go on, like, say, I don't know, Steel Toe or any of those other shows. But Kevin makes me laugh, man. And I think I said this, I don't know, because Chad had me while he was on the air with Kevin. I don't know if our call was being um, shown to the world, like if the audio, but like Kevin reminds me, and it's taken me forever to think about this, but he reminds me of the very first host of the show Cheaters. You know, you had Joey Greco, and then you had Clark Gable, and then some woman does it now. But the OG host was this really tall Arab guy, kind of had an Eddie Nash vibe. His stage name was Tommy Grand, but his real name was like kind of like what Eddie Nash's real name was. And just the way Kevin trolls the trolls is kind of like how Tommy Grand would troll these guys who are getting cheated on and their lives are being ruined on national TV. He would literally show some guy his girlfriend fucking another guy, and then he'd say to the guy while showing him the video, "That's gotta hurt, right?" So yeah, I mean, Shelley, I'm trying to think. I want to say some other people were in that, but I don't think they were. I mean, it was pretty much. Um, I mean, the main group of friends was Tom Cruise, John Stockwell, Jackie Earl Haley, and John P. Navin. And then Henry Darrow was the dirty cop. Shelley Long was the girl. Uh, um, so I mean, it was a pretty small cast. But apparently, I guess if you mention the movie to Tom Cruise in an interview, he stops the interview. So, uh, but we talked about earlier in the stream, the publishing and people just selling their soul just to get the record or whatever out. I'm sure Tom Cruise was very much the same. Like, yeah, fuck, I'll do this movie about four kids going to Tijuana. Fuck it. Because I think before then, the only thing he was in was, I think he was like a soccer player in a very small scene in Endless Love, wasn't? Hopefully you see Neil before your MLC appearance so you can tell him about his B-Day. Yeah, I mean, you got to always be promoting. Um, I don't know what Lemmy had the best dental plan. He did. Dr. Michael Schneider in Westwood. What up, Grimace and Pain? Have you ever, Earl, I'm sorry, Colts. Yeah, I didn't see that question. Porky's was the best, man. Earl, have you ever seen someone fail at doing a beer bong? I mean, I can't recall, to be honest with you. Um, I mean, I've been to some wacky parties. I mean, I've seen people fall over. I saw one guy setting up a fat rail of booger sugar on a mirrored table, and he went up to get it. Or he went up to sniff it, and he fell over and broke the table. And probably about $1,000 of cocaine was in the carpet. And the guy next to him was sniffing the carpet just to get the buzz. And that ain't the weirdest thing I've seen. But this is a family-friendly stream. We don't talk about some of the wackier things I've seen at parties. I've got 21 people in here right now. I have a standard to uphold. I mean, I've seen some pretty wild things from people jonesing on drugs, wanting to do drugs. I've seen some pretty, let's just say this, desperate acts. I've seen people spill their cocaine in a urinal at Dodger Stadium and sniff the urinal, knowing that hundreds of people had pissed in there. That's why I'm glad I never did drugs, because that would be me. I've literally licked the table if I've spilt an energy drink, and I want, in my brain anyway, to know that I had the full amount of the energy drink in the can. Dr. Nova, Daddy Man, how did you get introduced to the gangbang scene? Really, it was the same group of people who got me into stand-up comedy. All the managers and agents I used to run with, they had a thing of they did not like just having sex with one girl. Like, they really had a fetish of getting as many of their friends in a room and having a gangbang. I mean, definitely the sickest group of people that I've ever been associated with. And people say, "Well, Earl, you didn't really drink or party. Why are you allowed to hang out with them?" Because I was a big guy back then. I mean, I was fucking jacked back then. I mean, I'm jacked now. Can you imagine 30 years ago? I mean, I was benching 305. I was squatting close to 700 pounds. Now, my form wasn't the best, but I was squatting a full, whatever is right below 700 pounds, with all those plates on, 685 or whatever it was. I mean, I was a walking testosterone bottle. And I never took anything, never took roids or anything illegal. Um, so I was the muscle, and I was the comedy guy. So I could get, there were some sticky situations we would have. These guys would have a gangbang with some girl who had a boyfriend. Obviously the boyfriend finds out about the gangbang and he wants blood. Um, I mean, they live. If you know anything about the entertainment business, these guys work. They're up at 6 in the morning because you can deal with New York clients, and then they're basically up till like midnight, 1 a.m. dealing with European clients. You work in the office from like 7 in the morning to 7 at night. Then you got to go to a movie premiere, or you got to take a client to a hockey game, and then you got to take them to dinner. Like, you work easily 100-hour weeks. So those weekends, those 48 hours on the weekends, you squeeze in 100 hours of playtime. And it was a fabulous education on club life and how to pick up women. Uh, what happened to Diddy? Did something new happen today? I had a friend who had a head injury from a motorcycle crash. Lost. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, was this Gary Busey? I was the designated driver. How was your knees? Well, I have a torn ACL on my right leg, but it's fully rebuilt. Thank you very much. Um, I mean, and I went below parallel when I was squatting that much, uh, um, which is why when I tore my ACL in '91, I didn't realize it until 2004 because my legs were so fucking strong. At the gym I worked out at, they called me Baby Platts. I'll type his name in the stream. If I had a producer, they would type it, but just Google or YouTube, whatever you kids do, Tom Platts, the real fucking deal. Now, my legs were never anywhere near his, but for a Beverly Hills Bel Air teenager, they were pretty big. Dr. Nova, are you doing a boom shakalaka impression? Days with Jordan the Lion, why did you shoot Bruce? I was right next to him. I was innocent. I mean, I've taken yoga the last 7 years, so it's really rectified most of my lower back problems. I mean, when you're squatting that much weight, your spine is compressing at an alarming rate. Oh, I'm sorry, Jordan. I knew I got a question from you. Have you come down from Billy and Rico yet? Yeah, I mean, Bobby Lashley not viewing last night really zapped my buzz. But I will say a great match between Lio Rush and Shelton Benjamin. Shelton Benjamin is good, man. So now I'm kind of glad they didn't debut Bobby Lashley. I'm glad they let Shelton Benjamin get a little bit of shine. Tony Click Clack, do you need a computer? I got one for $1. That's our Shafir's cock block. I believe Hinchcliffe showed Boone his dick for a computer. That's the word on the street. Word on the street. Dan Pollock is my husband. I remember the first time I ever met Boone. I've told the story before, but was at an internet cafe. I can remember it like it was happening right now. On La Brea and Sunset, there was an open mic at 2 a.m. on Saturday mornings, and I'd go there. Dan Bialak was there, Dave Taylor, Nick Youssef, the Comedy Store crew. And so I'm on stage, and I'm bombing probably. I don't remember really how I was doing, but I'm sure I was bombing back then. And Boone is sitting in the front row, and I didn't know he was I didn't know him, so I was like, "What are you looking at, bro?" He's like, "I just trying to figure out what you look like naked." Like, I mean, this was a place where prostitutes would come in and wait for their clients. And then one night, a huge pimp threw a prostitute down a flight of stairs. So, are you surprised Bushman didn't Me Too Jimmy Kimmel? I mean, yeah, I mean, he was pretty desperate toward the end. Bush. My kid suggested yoga. I may try it, but man, seems gay. Can't let my friends know. I love yoga, and I don't care who knows. Hot yoga specifically, and not knowing how old you are, Mickey. I mean, I'm 56. If you need to lose a few extra pounds, I mean, I never really have, but I don't have the six pack I used to. Hot yoga will give you that six pack back. Okay, so we're basically the same era, um, and it's never too late to start yoga. And the great thing is, the teacher, they don't care if you can't do one fucking pose. No, the people next to you, they're so self into what they're doing. Nobody gives you like an attitude if you can't do like I can't do a lot of the poses. Nobody cares. In your opinion, what store comic had the best and worst rats? Nice. I mean, Dalia definitely had the best. I mean, yeah. The worst, probably PJ. I think PJ. PJ wasn't really discerning in his selection, if you know what I'm saying. I mean, I think he fucked Blue Iris once in the bathroom at the store. So that would be my opinion. Yeah, I mean, there's really no one that comes close to PJ. Although I will, I think, who was it? Thomas Ward once was. If you've been to the Comedy Store, there's the hallway. So to the left is the original room. You got to walk the stairs, and then you walk down a little further, and to the left is kind of the back way into the main room. One night during a show, so there's a show in the OR, there's a show in the main room. I'm sure there was one in the belly room. Curtis, the manager at the time, walks into that middle hallway that goes into the main room, and Thomas Ward has some girl bent over and he's fucking her. And Curtis was like, "What the fuck?" And Thomas Ward just looks up and goes, "It's okay, man. I'm a paid regular." Hello. Fat James ate a lot of pigs. I mean, I've had dinner with Fat James, rest in peace. But fuck, man, he was disgusting to eat. I mean, he had more food under his fingernails than most people have on their plate. Does Josh Nasser? I mean, he hasn't been in the main room in quite a while. But the last laugh is on all of us because maybe not you, Jordan, because your YouTube channel is one of the best, very popular. But well, you would probably know. I mean, he makes a lot of money. I mean, he's a million followers on TikTok, legit. I think he has like 1 million subscribers or something on YouTube, legit. I mean, he doesn't buy them. So, you know, I mean, I'm sure he wants a main room spot, but I'd rather have his AdSense money. Thank you, Animal Mother. I appreciate that. You're gonna meet Van Halen. Yeah, ask him what he thinks of NLO. No, Van Halen. Ask him if the Christine 16 demo that he and Eddie did with Gene will ever see the light of day. Yeah, I mean, Yorsi still goes up. At the Comedy Store at the end of the night, you can sign up for fallouts, which is when the show's over and they still want the show to go on. As Jordan knows, comics who aren't on the lineup can go up, but if you get there too late and Barris is already up, nobody goes up. I don't know where else he goes up. Kind of feel bad for a guy like him. He's definitely put in his time, but I don't think he's gotten a spot since I've been passed, and I've been passed since 2014. So Yorsi literally has not gotten a spot in 10 years. And he's around. It's not like he disappeared. Like he shows up a couple times a week. So Leo Gunn, any chance you can convince Neil to attend MLC Christmas party? I would go to New York. Of course, there might be some sniper rifles pointed in my direction in New York. But if they had another Kevin Brennan roast, I would love to go do that. Earl, the version of Christine 16 is up on YouTube, but I mean an official version. Um, John Sheezer was Jim Painter. I mean, you know, I think I'd have to go with Jim Painter there, but Sheezer is one of the legends of the Comedy Store, um, along with. I remember once. We used to go to Pete Carboni, and this is very inside Comedy Store baseball. So for those of you not really, was that Pimp Wings House or Ramrod? Sorry, William. When everything's just the same, this isn't a way for me to sneakily ask about a super chat, but when everything's the same in the stream, sometimes I miss a question. I remember me and Jim Painter used to go to Pete Carboni's house to play Madden, and I think Pete lived in the valley. So Painter picked me up one night, and we go up Highland, and we get on the 101. And when you hit 101 from Highland, you got to hit it running because you're basically 101's pumping, and you're in the on ramp, and you got to build up your speed real fast. And Painter was driving, I swear to God, about 2 inches from the partition on the freeway going, Talladega, here comes Skakel and Painter. They're around turn 4. And I've never been so scared in my life to be in a car with Jim Painter. Then we get off the freeway to go to Carboni's house. And what up, Dr. Chow? And we're at a red light. And let's just say Painter saw this gigantic black guy staring at us at the stoplight and might have called him a word that rhymes with clam digger. And we were at a red light. What are you doing? So Painter was a real wild card. Probably in 25 years of doing LA comedy, he has my favorite. He used to host a show at Amagi's, which was by the Palladium, if you're familiar with LA. Jordan knows where that is. Gower Gulch is just like mini mall by the Palladium. It was and Painter would host the open mics sometimes. And there was a comic in the LA scene named Andrew Solomson. Andrew was a super smart computer whiz. Probably about 5'9", 350 pounds. He was very heavy, like almost Ralphie May level. And no one really liked the guy because he was kind of smug and like arrogant. So he's waiting to go on one night. Painter brings him up to this intro. Yeah, if you like fat guys who are boring and read their jokes off their Palm Pilot, you're going to love this next act. Give it up for Andrew Solomson. And it's one of the few times Andrew ever made me laugh. He gets up, takes the mic, and goes, he's right. Did Tommy love Painter? I don't know, to be honest with you. He never seemed to get a lot of spots, but he got his name on the wall. It's up there forever. I don't know if I would fly out just for a Christmas party. If there was like a roast and a comedy show, I think the Stand would love to have a Kevin Brennan event. I've never met Kevin, so I'd be going in blind. Jeff Dennis told me that Tommy hated Painter. I don't know. That's just, I had really not gone to the Comedy Store in the darkest of the eras, from like I did the open mic like in 2000. I did not have a good time, and I didn't really go back to like 2009. But from 2000 to 2009, it was dark. I mean, I remember I went there as, I guess, not a fan, but just as an audience member, and seeing Sebastian play in front of like 15 people in the OR. And he wasn't bombing, but no one's going to do well in that situation. Um, so it's now it's the store is tip top shape. So I mean, Tommy had his favorites. He loved John Caparulo. He loved Matt Edgar. Aaron Cater, Ahmed Ahmed. He definitely had his, he loves Sebastian, Tripoli. I mean, Tripoli's a fucking survivor because he's gone through, I think, 3 or 4 bookers. I mean, I was just kinda getting my feet wet into the store when Duncan was the booker, and then Tommy took over, and it was just like, what the fuck is like, I had no idea how to proceed with Tommy. I remember one night. So on Wednesday, Tommy's, I think, off nights were Tuesday and Wednesday. So it was on a Tuesday night, and I'm in the original room hallway just hanging out, and like 7 comics didn't show up for their spots, and no one wanted to go up. So finally, all the comics in the back were like, put up Skakel," and Tommy wasn't there. I think Dave Mashevitz was hosting, and Mashevitz puts me up for about 10, maybe 12 minutes. And every comic says they kill. I did not kill, but I had a very good set, like really good set. So I was so high off the performance, and I wasn't passed yet, not even nearly close to being passed. This is probably 2012, maybe late 2011. So I went up there the next night just to get some of the glow of the glory, and same thing happened. Like all these comics didn't show up. And Jeff's the piano player, rest in peace. He's put up Skakel. So I go on. Jeff watched the whole thing. You got to understand, when Jeff watched you, he liked you. You could always tell who Jeff didn't like, because if he didn't like you, as soon as you got to the stage, he'd leave. And I had another good set. Not great, but a very good set. I mean, I definitely proved I probably should have been passed in late 2011. So the next, I go up on Thursday. I experienced the glow, and I'm sitting in the OR hallway where the door guy sits to let people in that hallway. And Tommy comes down the belly room stairs, sees me, and starts walking up to me. And I'm like, this is it. I'm about to be passed. And he just looks at me and goes, "You're only allowed to go up Sundays." And then just walked off. And after that, I was like, fuck, I got to wait till he gets fired. Have you asked the store OGs about the Todd? I have not. I'm too busy trying to make my shit happen, baby. Yeah, I mean, me and O'Neill used to throw, in terms of Robert William Eppervaya, we used to throw the laminated menus at him, and I mean, I'm talking hundreds of them. I mean, and then Barris would get in on the act, and you'd have a couple dingers. I mean, and we'd all sit at different points of the room, so there was nowhere Eppervaya could turn. And those things hurt, because one night Sunset Jesus was in the room sitting up front, and he takes a menu and he throws it back at us. Fair play, fair play. And he was a strong guy, and let me see if well, yeah, I can use this as something laminated here. So the menus, I mean, they weren't this big, but maybe I don't know. I mean, they were smaller than this. So you do them like this. So they'd fling back pretty hard, and the menu somehow got under my glass and hit me like right there, like right in my pupil. And I was fucking pissed. I went to go slug Sunset Jesus. And then when we were told to stop throwing the laminated menus at him, because he could sue us. And I threw some so hard they hit him right in his dick. And I think he had a pretty big dick. So me and O'Neill would start going into the bathroom, and this is so disgusting. We'd put our hands in the trash and get all the wash, not towels, but the napkins people would dry their hands off when they'd wash their hands after going to the bathroom, and we'd wet them down a little bit, and we'd get like a we'd make like a softball sized wad, and they were pretty hard if you squeezed the excess water out, and we would throw them at Bob. And this was before I was passed. These are the things I was doing. 100% William Zoom. Rest him. I get, yeah, me and said Jesus, we buried the hatchet. Were you at the store when they had the margarita machine? I've been at the store. They had the margarita machine. They had Dean cuisine. The pizza. In one pizza, you at least 3 of the 8 slices would be burnt. I was at the store when they had the empanadas, the chicken tenders, which were probably the best. Until I saw David Pierce, the Comedy Store lawyer's dog, pissing on a bag of them. I'm like, I'm good on that. Um, so really, a magical time at the Comedy Store, faux show. So we'll just go a few more minutes. We'll go to 105. But thank you guys. Let's hit the like button on your way out if you have not done so already. And we'll stream again probably tomorrow. Who knows? I don't want to stream every day because then it's like panhandling for your guys' dollar. I don't do that. But guys to want to miss me. But check out my 15-minute set from the original room on Sunday night. It's on YouTube. Doing well. I mean, at least well for me. ACDC, you flying in for the Xmas party. Liam will be here. Midnight Laundry. Ooh, Earl, you're a good dude. I mean, I try and be. I'm in the wrong business to try and be a good dude, but you guys keep me posted on this since I don't really listen to MLC that much. Me posted on the Kev. Let's get a Kevin Brennan roast part 2. I would definitely come to New York for that. Because then I could squeeze in a few spots at the stand and other places and, see some New York friends I haven't seen in a while. If Jamar Neighbors is the Virgil of the store, are you or Paulie the Tatanka? I would say, if you're going to call, I would say I'm the $1 million man, Ted DiBiase. Everybody's got a price. Paulie would be the Tatanka, and I would be the $1 million man. Or I'd be the Ultimate Warrior, where everyone thought the Warrior was crazy. You look at some of his shoot videos. Oh, this guy's unhinged. But then after he died, and you started like kind of breaking down the videos he did, you're like, you know what? He was telling the truth. I mean, not the homophobic stuff, but like, like talking shit about the wrestlers he was speaking poorly about. I don't think anyone had a bigger hog than Virgil. Thoughts on Jakey Lee? We covered that earlier in the stream, Leo. I mean, I'm glad he's alive. They say by the newest reports that there were 15 shell casings that were found. That's insane to me. So, I threw it out there on a metal sludge, and this could have been an old drug debt, maybe. I mean, Jake has had substance abuse problems. I feel much better tonight. I mean, still got a little bit of a cough, but when I get sick for like 2 or 3 days, and then I'm fine. Like I'm planning on taking yoga tomorrow, but I got to be careful because as soon as I walk out of a hot yoga studio, it's cold because you got the cold air outside. So you got to cover up. And I mean, yeah, it could be I don't know. I mean, I can't see him gambling a lot, but maybe. Well, no, they say he was walking his dog, so, I mean, but I guess you could meet a drug dealer with your dog. I mean, I don't know, there's something about it's not making sense, but, often, crime doesn't make sense. Uh, I mean, 15 you're shot at 15 times, you only get hit 3 times. Um well, I think it does though, William, when your pores are open and, you're coming out of a room that's 105 degrees, around there. I think hot yoga, where I take it, is 100 to 105 degrees. And you go out to say, outside of the studio, and it's, at 5:30 at night, it's probably 70 degrees. So I do think that that kind of a drop, if you're not dried off and uh, whatnot, you can catch a cold. Would you still do a Kevin Brennan roast if Jeff Lish is a roaster? He would cancel. He would not do a roast that I would be on. But the great thing is, if Jeff tried to say to Kevin, "Hey, you can't have Earl on the roast," Kevin would say, "Earl on the roast." That dude that shot at O'Neill like 6 times at point blank range, and he missed each one. Yeah, I mean, it's fucking. And then you look at when Bruce Kulick got shot. The guy, if you're familiar with that area of Sunset, so you've got, let me see, you got the Key Club here, and the Rainbows like here. So it's about maybe 3/4 of a block away, and the guy was shooting this way at the Cypress Hill posse, and somehow Bruce over here got shot. So, it's pretty wacky. And I still have all my Jeff roast jokes written down from the Adam roast. Yeah, I'm gonna assume most of these guys who are shooting aren't exactly Olympic level sharpshooters. So, we'll go 3 more minutes. Let me get some water for my final few minutes. Sick and still jacked. What up, Kip Smith? We've got 2 of the 3 moderators in the house. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how Bruce ended up getting hit by a bullet when, because at that time, Cypress Hill's gang was well known for smoking weed and eating and whatnot, hanging. If you've ever been to the Rainbow, on that front patio, and Bruce was probably 100 yards downstream, and not like, I don't know how you're shooting this way, and Bruce is over there. So, ricochets and whatnot. Um, I do remember that night going to Cedars and seeing Cypress Hill's posse there, and let's just say they were planning their retaliatory action. So, all right, we got 1 more minute, guys. The arrow is over the end stream. Thank you very much, as always, for participating. Probably do a couple streams this weekend. I don't know if the Steelers are on TV this weekend, but I don't either, Williams. I know that Shelly had to watch, my girlfriend at the time, and Bruce wanted her to bring it over, and Shelly was like, "You can just come over and pick it up. I'm not your fucking slave." 30 seconds, guys. 30 seconds. Get your last minute questions in 20 seconds. And then I'll be at the Comedy Store Saturday night in the Brody, Kinnison, Holtzman, Tripoli spot. If you're local to Los Angeles, please come and check out my Comedy Store set from Sunday night on YouTube right now.